Man, something strange is going on. Sketch has totally disappeared.
I know, it's too weird. We gotta find him.
Crystals can grow when there is an abundance of a particular mineral or a combination of minerals in one place. When the conditions are just right, the atoms of the minerals line up together in special ways.
Cool! You found Max's spider totem.
But does that mean Max is missing too?
Well, I'm afraid it just might.
Wait a minute! Look! That wasn't here before. It's Coyote Trickster!
Enough, Burr!
Oh no! He could destroy TerraTopia!
You're right, Piper. This king of chaos must be stopped.
Stop me? Like your other two friends tried? You'll never stop me unless you're willing to play my game. The power of the totems will be mine!
We can't let him get away!
Yeah, come back here!
It is likely that many petroglyph sites have yet to be discovered because they are in caves. The exploration of caves is a practice that is only a couple of centuries old.
Find the answer to this, and you may find me. The animal that never forgets remembers a relative from the past, gone from Earth, but on TerraTopia still.
Caves can be homes to many creatures. In addition to bats, snakes, and insects that you are familiar with, strange creatures live in the darkness. Blind white beetles, and spiders as big as a person's hand. The cave waters are ruled by eyeless salamanders. Watch your step. Travel into the crystal cave from this direction is treacherous. It is better to approach from the southern entrance. Walking Ice Island lies across the strait. It is similar in climate to your own North Pole, but there is an important difference. Earth's North Pole has no land underneath. It is a giant floating raft of ice. Walking Ice Island does have areas that are only ice, but the geysers you see show you that there is land there as well. To the north lies the kingdom of the frost giants. There you will find the giant woolly mammoths. These creatures were last sighted on Earth some 11,000 years ago. There are 3 moons in TerraTopia. One that orbits once a day, one that orbits once a month, and one that orbits once a year. Your own planet, Earth, has but one moon that orbits roughly once a month. Nearly 35 million trees could be saved each year if 75% of waste paper and cardboard were recycled into pulp and used to make new paper. You too can do your part. Recycle newspapers and cardboard in your own home. Buy products made of recycled paper. Use discarded paper as scratch paper and write on the back. Keep in mind the old Chinese proverb in which Max finds inspiration. Remove a tree, and you remove its shade. Across the ice floes is Walking Ice Island. Have patience picking a path across the floes. One can never cross the same way twice. But what you find on the other side will be worth the effort.
Be careful, for those ice floes are not stable. They are continuously moving. To travel across the channel, you must pick a safe path across to the landing point on the far shore. Choose the ice floe touching the near shore. When you do, some floes may rise to the surface and others may be pushed underwater. Choose another floe that is next to the floe you have picked. Again, the surrounding ice floes will move. Continue in this manner until you find a path across.
Bubbling mud is caused when acid sulfur gases corrode the rock they pass through and form a pool of soft mud. Some bubbling mud can be cool enough to allow humans to soak in them, and are often sought as beauty treatments to soften the skin. Others, like these, are so hot one cannot venture too near. Tread carefully. Hot water, gas, and mud squirt or dribble from vents in the ground heated by volcanoes. When the channels in the rock are narrow, heated water will shoot out as a geyser. If the channels are wider, then the water will turn to steam or cool to create bubbling pools of mud. Much of the northernmost regions of TerraTopia and Earth are permanently covered in ice. These extreme conditions make growth difficult and extraordinarily slow. Some Arctic lichens may be over 4,500 years old and have taken hundreds of years to grow but an inch. These geysers tell us that there is much volcanic activity underground. Beware, for when a glacier-covered volcano erupts, the ice cap melts rapidly, causing a flood within minutes. In Iceland, there is a volcano whose eruptions sometimes cause a flow of water greater than the Amazon River. If you understand the power of nature, you can use this knowledge to survive. Learn from the peoples of Iceland who have converted the geothermal activity underground to provide electrical power and heat. As a result, there are no water heaters in Iceland's capital city. Did you know that there are different kinds of ice? The ice you are familiar with is Ice 1. Glaciers are so heavy that the ice at the bottom of the glacier is under great pressure. This pressure transforms the ice into what is called Ice 3. Ice 3 is harder and does not melt as easily as Ice 1. Much of the northernmost regions of TerraTopia and Earth are permanently covered. Volcanic heat warms an area, including the water which may lie around it. Even when volcanoes have been dormant for long periods of time, you may see evidence of its power in the forms of geysers, steam vents known as fumaroles, hot springs, or the geothermal mud pots through which you are now traveling. Algae can survive being frozen in the rare freshwater lakes of Antarctica. By absorbing enough heat through their dark filaments, they can thaw some of the surrounding ice and live in a tiny aquarium. Thousands of years ago, glaciers covered this area, carving out large U-shaped valleys and flattening the earth in its path. When a logging company cuts down all of the trees in an area without planting new ones, it leaves the topsoils exposed. Rain will wash this fertile layer away, and within the year what was an area that supported a multitude of life will be bare. In TerraTopia we are fortunate, for our world remains largely untouched. The Earth has its natural temperature cycles that sometimes make the world warmer or colder. These changes happen over many, many years, so plants and animals have the time to adapt. On Earth, the Anasazi used ladders to go between the levels of their cliff dwellings. By drawing up their ladders after climbing to higher levels, they could remain safe from invaders. In Tunisia on Earth, the Makmatis have lived in underground dwellings for over 2,000 years. Beneath the ground, they can find protection from the desert's hot sun. Humans have built tunnels for many reasons. The Romans were the Earth's greatest tunnelers of ancient times. One tunnel built to carry water runs 15 miles from underground springs to the city of Athens in Greece. It was forgotten for 1,600 years until the 20th century. Today, it still brings water to Athens. At the base of a waterfall, beneath the surface of the water, is an area known as the plunge pool. The deeper the pool, the longer the waterfall has existed. These rock formations are created over many, many years. The wind blows grains of sand around. As the sand hits the rocks, it eats away tiny parts of the surface, eventually creating wondrous formations such as those before you. Imagine that the Earth formed some 4,600 million years ago. Soon afterward, the early oceans began to fill with water. Water vapor rose from volcanoes and hot rocks on the new Earth's surface. Eventually, clouds formed and rains fell. Since its creation, the Earth has been in a constant state of motion and change. What you see today is but a snapshot of time. Ahead lies the Lake of the Moon, but it is easier to scale its heights from the other side. The meteorite that remains at the lake's center is the remnant of a giant chunk of rock that reached TerraTopia's surface without burning up in the atmosphere. On Earth, the largest known meteorite fell in Namibia, Africa, and is but 9 by 8 feet in size, much smaller than the meteorite which formed this lake. You may think that Walking Island is nothing but frozen land and water, but there is a lot of activity there that would surprise you. The giant half-dome you see in the distance is but one of TerraTopia's many magnificent mountains. You may be surprised that not all mountains are visible both here and on Earth. More than 10,000 seamounts on Earth, who have their bases on the ocean floor and are over half a mile high, never peak above the water's surface. Thousands of years ago, glaciers covered this area, carving out large U-shaped valleys and flattening the Earth in its path. There are nearly 100 species of pine. They thrive in colder climates, but may appear in warmer regions as well. The leaves of pines are narrow needles, and their seeds develop to form hard cones rather than flowers. The pine wood within the trunk and branches is rather soft, but strong-smelling resin protects the trees and prevents decay. On Earth, one of the greatest testimonies to the passage of the glaciers and their incredible force is the existence of regions with thousands of lakes in all of the northern countries. In these originally flat areas, the moving ice excavated areas of land that offered the least resistance. This process created the characteristic rolling terrains that have later been filled with the waters of the thousands of small lakes. Astronomy has been the fascination of the ages. Many would find TerraTopia's Lake of the Moon an interesting phenomenon to explain. Just think that around 150 AD, a Greek astronomer known as Ptolemy stated that the Earth lay stationary in the middle of the universe, and that the Sun, Moon, and 5 then-known planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, all moved around it. Most people believed this theory for the next 1400 years. True understanding often involves making mistakes and learning from those insights. Do not be afraid of trying, for it is only through such efforts that you can grow in your wisdom. As people wonder about the future and how to move beyond the boundaries of your planet Earth, some speculate that the atmosphere of Mars could be warmed up through a process known as terraforming. Plants and trees would be grown around Mars' ice caps to absorb sunlight, which would in turn warm the surface and melt the ice. Could Mars one day look something like the scene that spreads before you? One wonders. Both rivers and glaciers carve out valleys. Rivers wash away silt with their passage, forming V-shaped valleys. Glaciers move slowly with all of their weight, gouging out a U-shape. This valley was created by a glacier thousands of years ago. A lake can give birth to much life. In the beginning, simple plants grow in the water. As these plants begin to thrive, the lake slowly changes. In time, more advanced plants can survive, which in turn provide food that fish can eat. The water and plants attract insects that also can become food for the fish. Soon, the lake transforms into a place that animals come for water and food. Plants begin to thrive on its shores, and these in turn become homes and food for insects, birds, and animals. Thus, the web of life expands, and you can see that each living being is linked to another. Today, about 1/10 of your planet Earth is covered in ice. Some scientists worry that burning coal, oil, and wood is making the Earth warmer. A global rise of 4 degrees centigrade or 7 degrees Fahrenheit would melt all of the world's ice and in turn raise the sea level enough that many coastal cities such as Sydney, Tokyo, and New York would be covered in water. You may not think that you would notice a change of 4 degrees. Right now, temperatures on Earth are on average only about 4 degrees warmer than during an ice age. Those 4 degrees are an important difference.